All right. Call the meeting to order. We'll rise and do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
The United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
and justice.
Okay, welcome everyone. We have on our agenda, we'll have some public comment time, approval of our minutes. We have continuation of public hearing for conditional use for Pancreatos Incorporated. And we have a public hearing for conditional use for Washington Investments LLC. And is pre-application meeting still on first?
I haven't heard from the applicants.
Okay, so they might not.
They may not.
Is anybody here for? Okay, there we go.
Not anymore.
There we go.
They may be on Zoom. I don't know. But
Okay.
represent something?
No, they're here to speak.
Oh, okay.
Is there anyone online for Snuffy?
I see 3 people viewing, but I don't know if any of them are with Snuffy.
Well, we'll find out. We'll ask one more time, and then if you want to go, you can. You're welcome to go. Does anybody have any public comment on anything in particular in the township to start with? And if you would like to use this time,
If they're not here to listen.
save it for the next. All right.
If they do show up.
Next, we have the minutes. Everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes.
Yes.
Are there any revisions or comments?
I do have a comment. I noticed that there's a statement on item 6 in the minutes about this America U-Haul self-storage more than vehicle for the March meeting, but they're not on the agenda, so what's the story with
At
that?
the time, they had expressed intent to appear at this meeting. So I included in the minutes is that because that's what their intent was at the time, but they have since decided to push back to April. And this isn't exactly relevant, but I did talk to the representative for them yesterday, and they do plan to be in April.
Okay. I'll make a motion to use minutes for February 20th.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Next, we have the continuation of the public hearing for conditional use application from Pancreatos Incorporated to operate a juvenile personal care home located at 1961 North Main Street in the I-1 Industrial Zoning District. Is anybody here from the applicant?
Good evening, Attorney Ryan Lemke via Zoom, obviously for the applicant Pancreatos. There are 2 representatives present before you, one being Tiana Hedden. I'm not sure who else she brought, but there are 2 individuals there in attendance. A few days ago, I had forwarded to Mr. Sutter a letter from a professional contractor regarding the status of the structural and electrical portions of the property. Through this investigation, it's become clear that this is not going to be a simple rehab of the property. The house, if you're familiar with the property, the house itself is structurally sound, but the additions that was built on it suffered a fire, and there's significant damage. And the opinion of the expert that Pancreatos hired is that those portions of the building, the additions are going to have to be completely demolished and rebuilt. So procedurally, I'm not sure how we proceed from here. This is obviously not going to be something that's going to happen in the next couple of months. We intend, when I say we, they intend on performing the work that's necessary to make this building better than it ever was. As far as the conditional use application, I don't know if we can put it in escrow, until that work is performed, or, you know, we have to start all over again. The only, I think, request that the applicant would have is that, you know, the application fee at the minimum be put in the escrow until we're ready to proceed. And I'll let Tiana, unless anybody has any questions of me, I'll let Tiana, because she has more insight on what the contractor found, but I'll let her talk to you all about the findings in that report.
Well, before we go, Jim, that, you can't put it in escrow. It'd have to be a whole new application.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what he means by putting escrow. Escrow is a.
Well, you're saying
financial
just
thing.
be table basically.
Yeah, that's kind of what
Stick it
I
in a slot till
understood.
they can pull it back up. I don't know whether we can do that.
I mean, you can waive time requirements for as long as you want.
Well, that might be.
You'd have to you'd have to do that in writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I guess the building needs to be repurposed or
Torn
redone.
down.
Hey, Ryan, is anybody here? Is anybody online for you? The owners online or anything? Because nobody's here in person.
Oh, wow. Well, they were supposed to be there.
Okay.
So I apologize. They may come late, but
Okay.
I spoke, Jim sent me an email, I believe yesterday, asking me, because the letter from the contractor was a little confusing as to whether the whole structure needed to be torn down or just a portion of the structure would be torn down. And I talked to Tiana about that, and what she told me was the house itself, the structure that was there originally, did not suffer any fire damage. So that part of the structure can remain. But the stuff that was built onto that house suffered significant fire damage to the point that it's going to have to be completely demolished and redone. And, from my perspective, that's probably the best case scenario for the township, because, when we're trying to cover all the electrical requirements, the structural requirements, the fire and safety requirements, we're committed to rebuilding now, and we're going to rebuild, with all those requirements in mind. Again, the issue is, we filed this application to move forward with a conditional use, and now, we're going to be, submitting building plans and sort of starting from scratch. And that's
We
okay.
can put that, we
Go ahead.
can waive the time requirement like you said.
Well, I'll tell you what I think the bigger question, Ryan, or the bigger concern is just not wanting to have to pay an application fee again, right? More than anything else. I'm sure that's something we could talk about and recommend that, they can hold that fee and and for a new, when you're ready, do a new application. Not, oh, I see, they're here now, Ryan.
Okay, good.
We'll give them a minute to get caught up and then we'll come back to you. Ryan.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you? Well, we were just discussing your application, I believe, right now. Mr. Lemke was just speaking as well.
Joe. Would you be able to keep your papers away from the microphone? It's a little hard for Sheila.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
So-
so they're here, so do you want to swear them in since they're going to give testimony?
Yeah, I think we probably should. Ryan, do you want to, let's go with this. Do you want to proceed with the hearing at this point, or do you have what's the position you want to take, I guess, at this point?
No, I think we want to proceed. I think the plan from the last meeting that was continued until this meeting was for us to come forth and give an update on where we stand. Obviously, the situation has changed quite dramatically as far as, the work that's going to be necessary to make this project happen. But I think we want to proceed. I think Tiana and I think Marcus is there, want to at least, give the commission an update as to where we are, what they've done, and so.
Okay, Ryan, do you want us to, we can swear Tiana in and you want to guide her through some testimony or?
Yes, I think it'll be very brief, but that's fine.
Sure. Okay. Did you catch all that, Tiana? Okay, I think, court reporter will swear you in.
Okay, state your full name
Tiana Hedden.
and your name.
My name is Reverend Marcus Hart.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, Ryan, go ahead.
Yeah, Tiana, just to get you caught up, I told the planning commission as to where we're at. You did have professionals do an assessment of the building, and it was the opinion of those professionals, those experts, that the portion of the building that was the add-on to the house is going to need to be totally demolished and reconstructed. If you could, agree with that and maybe expand on what you found out from your expert.
Thank you for the report. I don't know if any of you guys received that report. Okay. So they outlined everything in here. They said it would be very costly to renovate the entire building. They would pretty much have to gut the whole thing out. And then some of the things that they did inspect was grossly out of code. So all those things would have to be replaced, including wiring throughout the entire back portion of the property. So they said that the best thing that we could do is demolish that back portion of the property and rebuild the suit. We do have a contractor ready to start the demolition process, and they also said something about, because they had to go through a crawl space to get under the building, which they felt was also not up to code, so they said that they needed to dig a, I believe, a trench or something that would something that would, I'm not a contractor, so it's hard for me to explain it. But the way that I understood it was, the building is kind of, the back part sits like on an incline, and that's where a lot of the water and the water damage is coming through as well, and it also affected the foundation.
And they want to put a French drain in.
French drain.
Types.
Well, they kind of want to, they said there's like no basement area, they needed to dig, and then they'll build the back part of the building on top of that structure so that it's level. And then I don't think they would have to do the French drain if they build it correctly and up the cut.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I got from it. So we're in talks right now with the owner of the property. We're trying to put together a plan on how we're gonna finance that. And we already have an architect that we're contracted with an architect, and what the design of that building is gonna be, so it will better serve the children that we will be bringing in there.
Yeah, excuse me. She forgot one thing, one of the main things. We're also in negotiations on that building. Like, that building is a mess.
Yeah.
Like, that has stuff hanging on it, for years. But, we have to deal with that. Things on it, we have to deal with that. So it's just, it's more than the construction, it's getting, we had to get more attorneys, this thing is becoming a state project, but, well, God give you something, you gotta be obedient, sometimes you don't know where the money's coming from, just gotta keep moving. It's just like, look what's been going on now. This is a mess anyway. So, but we believe in it, and we believe in these, the kids. It's just gonna be, it's diverse. It's not gonna be no kids that are, out there, bad with guns and stuff. But these kids have problems. They don't have, they have mental health problems. And I think it would be advantageous for the Washington County area. For number one is this: I've done my research, and you guys don't have nothing out there like that. In Allegheny County, going to Gardner, Allegheny County is willing to work with us, so they're willing to work with us, and what you have here, and I believe with, there's more, funding coming down the pipe. The funding would go to you guys, to us, through you guys, through your county, through your part of the county, and then, I think you have a children or, DNA, drug and alcohol, unit, you guys have funded through the state or the county.
There are probably several sources for you in our county. There's LSA funds. There's probably lots of sources.
Well, since last night, I think there's a whole bunch more sources put out there. I don't know, we'll see. But, I think it'll be an interesting project, plus at the same, Any questions?
Yeah, I do have one question, no, question to say. When that property addition was put on, they were added in and it didn't quite fit the lot.
It's like a
supposed to be
puzzle.
on.
It's like a puzzle, all those different pieces.
So I would suggest that once you get your architect, it's a general design where it's gonna be a footprint. Just let us take a look at it, make sure it
Oh,
fits.
sure, we would love for you to.
Make sure it fits. That one there does not fit.
It doesn't fit, I've never seen nothing like it.
No, we haven't either.
Well, they
So
were done, there were several additions, done. None of them were done without permits,
Oh, okay,
And,
No wonder.
and it was mentioned.
I thought it was your fault, what the hell's wrong with you?
They did it sort of a moonlight type project, and it was sort of, and I think now that everybody's sort of on the same key of music here, that those additions need to totally demolished and start over.
But you
It's
got
cheaper
other,
too.
it's cheaper.
To try to make
you
it.
got other properties that,
Yeah,
where you at, the folks that live next door.
yeah, I think it's really more now. This is a conditional use application. It's not like if you rebuild and you have the right offsets, everything's okay. So it's more now the board really has to go back and decide on the actual use itself rather than the structure. Since everybody
Exactly.
agrees now, that's gotta be bulldozed and start over.
Plus it's like, we're trying to
So it's
become
really
into
the
something.
use, it's really the use of that is what now we have to sort of decide, now that everybody's acknowledged that, totally.
Yeah, that's,
So I think that's how it started off.
Well, let's do this too, Ryan. Jim, can you tell who's mic? Can you mute the mics?
I can, but I think it's either Joe or Ryan, given that or.
It's not
Ryan's
me.
not moving.
Ryan's not moving.
I don't want to mute Joe as he's a member of the commission.
yeah, all right.
Well, Ryan, let's do this too. I think we probably have some exhibits to put in. Is that right?
Correct.
What do we start with? The application itself?
I think you should put the application in. The application should be A. B should be the publication. And I think that's, and plan, we have plans here tonight?
We do have that report. Ryan, do you want to make that report an exhibit?
Yes, please.
But that
This
would
is
be,
Hayden's general contracting report.
so that would be C. So A would be the application, B would be the publication, and C would be the Hayden report. Anything else, Ryan, you want to put in there?
Well, and this isn't really testimony, but just sort of trying to get some feedback from commission. Obviously, what Pancreatos is going to undertake with this construction project is going to be costly. And, I know you can't make a decision on the conditional use, and I understand the rules of approval or denial of a conditional use. And I just want to, broadly, ask that if Pancreatos is able to reconstruct this thing and it complies with all the conditions in your ordinance, that, this is something that you would consider approving. Otherwise, I don't want to see them spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And, there's already a preconceived notion that this isn't something that South Strabane wants in the township.
Okay, right. I don't think that's the impression of the commission. What I suggest we could do though is we could take what we have on the record, we can continue the hearing. We'll still, obviously, we're gonna continue it for a longer period of time. Well, you consent to waive the time requirements again?
Absolutely.
I think the board would be okay with that.
I'm
Um,
absolutely okay with that, and I can send the same sort of email to Jim that I have in the past.
Sounds good, Ryan.
You
So-
want?
So,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, Mr. Quinn.
I mean, because if there has to be demolition done, I assume. There's gonna have to be some type of plans, they're gonna have to come, be approved by the township. And construction doesn't happen overnight.
No, I think we probably need, and
Neither
we'll
does
go
money.
with the engineer's comments too, but I mean, basically what we need is a plan.
Is there any engineers in here?
Yeah, or the township's
I knew
in.
you were- I thought you were an attorney or an engineer.
But I think, I mean, they don't have to have the whole building constructed to get conditional use approval. They're two different things. Right. So I mean, what they need is a plan that they're going to build that we can use for approval. So I think they need enough time to do that, Ryan.
Agreed.
But I mean, we can do, I'm spitballing here and someone can make a motion at some point, but we could probably do 6 months if that's enough time or too much time.
No, I think, 6 months is fine, and if we can get this accomplished before that, obviously, we'll contact the township and let them know that we're ready to proceed.
Yeah, we won't want to continue things forever because ordinances change and then, and
Sure.
you want to apply something towards a new ordinance if it ever changes. But 6 months, I don't see that as a big concern. So I would suggest we take what we have, we'll continue the hearing. We can entertain a motion to continue the hearing for 6 months and move on from there.
Do you agree with that, Mr. Lemke?
Yes, I'm in agreement with that.
John, does that sound okay? Do we have any engineers' comments at this point or anything we need to put on the record from the engineer?
No.
Okay.
I think since there's been a lot of time passed since this was first brought to our attention, I think it'd be good to have a little paragraph or two of a refresher on how this place is gonna actually operate. It was my understanding the youth were gonna come in, they were gonna just be there for a day or two until they found
Please,
a place to put them. And I think as long as that's still the mission of this, we need that sort of stated, because that's what the use of this is gonna be, after we get over the structure itself. And so I think it'd be good to have a little refresher on how many people, because the board, we weren't gonna approve this in the deplorable condition it was in to bring youth in there, even if it's for a day or two. So as long as we get a little bit of a refresher on what's gonna happen there and some preliminary,
I think pretty much the same as we said.
Yeah.
As the kids to come through, get them moved to ready to get moved to, the state won't allow you to, well, she's the children's exercise.
So, this is actually a foster care agency, so we'll be certified and licensed by the state to place children in foster homes. What we don't have a lot of is when it takes us some time sometimes to set up a child with a family, we were offering respite. And so the state only allows a child to be in respite from 3 to 7 days. So that just gives us a time period with the child, if they have nowhere else to go in that interim, that we would keep the child and keep them in a safe place until we found a family for them. And we have a time period of 3 to 7 days to achieve that. So the children would be there for short stays. Also, we wanted to create a hub so that anytime a kid needed reprieve or a foster parent needed reprieve, a child can come back and stay in that hub or visit with parents in that same facility. So that's pretty much what the use is going to be for. But we will have children that will be staying overnight for that period of time while we find appropriate family placement for that.
Yeah, a little blurb like that would be fine. A
Okay.
paragraph or two, that's all we need. That's
Um,
exactly what we need.
Just to throw something else, we can certainly provide a paragraph or two to that effect, but the findings in fact and conclusions of law in the zoning hearing board variance case sets forth those things pretty clearly too. So if the commission chooses to review that, I think that would give you a good idea as to what the mission of this thing is too.
I can dig those up and provide you upon request.
That sounds good. Why don't we do that? And then when we reconvene the hearing and whatever time that is, we can make that part of the record as well at that point in time. If you want. Okay. Well, at this point then I'll close the hearing, not close it, it's continued. I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing.
I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing for conditional use approval for Pancreatis Incorporated to operate a juvenile personal care home located at 1961 North Main Street in the I-1 Industrial Zoning District at a point of 6 months from this point in time, which would be September of 2022.
You want to have the application, publication report also.
And would also like to add, as part of the record, as exhibits, the,
Exhibit A is the application.
the
Exhibit B is publication. Exhibit C is the aid report.
yes, what Jay said.
We have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you
One thing for you guys. Can anybody tell me what pancreatus means?
No, we can't pronounce it.
I've looked it up and I can't think of it.
Pancreatus. There's a meaning. There's a meaning for that. Has anybody ever heard of and you gotta go play. You've heard it. I know you grew up with this. Peter Pan. Remember what Peter Pan did? He took the kids, he took the boys, the lost boys.
Yeah.
And he got them from Captain Hook. He didn't want to get them on that ship. So he got the lost boys and hid them in the forest. And that's where pancreatus is it's Latin, Greek.
And the full meaning of the word is all straight, all
We've been waiting for Mr. Pancreatis to show up.
Yeah, I thought it was the last name.
Yeah, we have. Just thought it was like.
Exactly. You're right, I did too. That's what I like. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to be around. I mean, with the money and stuff, we're going to constantly have to be raising money. We're doing it now, raising money. I mean, it's a puzzle. I've never seen nothing like it. They really just do that thing. And then it was a nursing home.
Yeah,
It was.
There was a bunch of stuff. It's a
Oh, yeah.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, it was. I mean, my God.
so fresh in
Well, great. Well, good luck to you. Keep persevering.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you for your time tonight.
No problem.
Helping the kids in Washington County for 50 years.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
By the way, tell Chuck Arthur I said hi.
Get in touch with us for your hearing.
I gotta track him down in Florida, but I will.
Thank you so much.
You knew I am Jay Gordon.
Yes, I know.
Tell him I said hello. I'll be calling for lunch.
Okay, sounds good. I'll let him know.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Jay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It takes us an hour and a half to get
No.
here.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, geez. Well, be careful.
Have a great
You got a
evening,
mirror?
gentlemen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Well,
next we have a public hearing for conditional use for Washington Investments LLC. Do we have anyone here for the applicant for Washington Investments?
Hi,
No.
my name's Mark Keppel. I'm here for Washington. I have a representative from the construction company that's building this accelerated construction. This is Dean Childers. We also have the tenant that ultimately will be occupying the space is a transformation. It's Dr. Axel and Rachel Nash. And it is to understanding my role to keep it very brief and not say things that I don't need to say. I think this was a pretty easy one. We've completed the information. It's very self-explanatory. We've also submitted as part of this the report from French Engineering and that's been submitted. I can answer any questions that anyone may have about what this is. It's located up on Route 19 at 2 Park Road. It's important and all that business is. And we had a very successful development there with the Parkway development. We have apartments in the backside of North Strabane. We have the plant businesses, that's in the North Strabane. This is the development that we basically finalizing it and very excited about it. Dr. Ashton Group is going to be taking up half of that building. We've already gotten the variance issues taken care of, and this is the final step, and we are actively working on construction. We probably are, I hate to put percentages in it, but by the time we get through all of the administrative stuff, we'll be pretty close to being finished if we can get our supply chain to work and get us some doors. Well, and doors and RTU units. But once that's all taken place, we'll be ready to put these folks in business, and they can help the people of Washington County. It's a emotional, psychological counseling center. They're very successful at locations in South Hills. Has a very vibrant organization. This is just an experience. Very happy.
Hold on one second. Joe, you gotta have to mute your mic.
Mute your mic, Joe.
I mean, that makes that much noise.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done.
Jim, you just have to watch for him waiting.
Sounds good. I'll keep an eye.
Okay. Please continue.
I'm fine. I'll answer any questions.
I was gonna say, this building is pretty much completed, right, as far as the outside.
So, yes, sir. So the outside shell was completed some time ago. And
Yeah.
we were seeking tenants, and then COVID hit, and, you know, we had an empty building sitting there for longer than what we would like. So we're very pleased with this thing. All new modern construction, sprinklers, all that yards, all planned, all designed.
The other half of this building, do they have any tenants lined up? And the reason I'm asking is just compatibility between this, medical clinic and what happens beside them.
Sure. We have, we've had a couple in all of the centers, we operate, well, Washington Investments is the only one, the family corporation that owns it, that's a 1 million square foot of commercial space. So we're very attentive to how we theme our organizations and how we plan that. So while nothing's planned there, and I can only give you my representation and experience, we are very careful not to put something that creates an undue traffic burden, because all it does is frustrate the tenant and can't keep them very long. So what we would probably try to do is something without a lot of customer draw to go into that side. Versus we're going to go to a customer, something that would have a lot of traffic draw to it, we would probably seek some other way of organizing how we address and do that. So those kinds of things are things that we pay a lot of attention to. We would love to get something that's also kind of quasi-medical feel to it, to pair it with, that wouldn't have a lot of traffic flow. A lot of things like physical therapy would be a really nice match there. Something that's very compatible. So we don't have anything that we can really latch into it right now. The other concept that we're toying with is something to put it into where a lot of the population draw would be, say, after 5 o'clock. Maybe you put a restaurant in there that has something there, and so kind of football parking and traffic flow. So we're working on those things. We don't have anything, but I know exactly what the concern is. It's a concern that we are very serious about in our center. So. And if you have any questions, we know we come back here on March 22nd, the board approves, and we're prepared to offer any insight into how the clinics work and things like that. So.
We want to make some exhibits and record them, Mr. Maker?
Yes, exhibit A would be the application. Exhibit B would be the publication. Exhibit C, I believe, would be the plan submitted by the applicant.
I think we have the record from the zoning Zoning hearing board as well, don't we?
You should have the minutes from that.
The minutes from
Yes,
that?
sir.
Okay. Let's make those, was it?
A, B, C, and D.
D?
Zoning.
Yeah, that's D.
There's one of these in Bethel Park, right?
Yes, I'm Dr. Alan Axelson. I started my career at Western Center and have been in Washington County ever since. I originally lived in Washington County and then moved to Upper St. Clair. With me is Rachel Nash. She and I will be the leadership of this organization. We have been at the building that Howdy Hannah has by Southwest Village since mid-80s. And this is now moving us south. We'll be continuing that one. And this is one that will expand our services and have a more direct impact on Washington County. I've worked with Centerville Clinics, worked with Wesley Family Services. I was the medical director of their program on 90 West Chestnut. That program didn't survive, and so there I was out of work. I had to do something. So we're expanding our stuff. This is a professional corporation that is owned by me, has been owned by me since 1980, and we've partnered with a national organization, and we have offices all over Massachusetts, now in Virginia, here in Western Pennsylvania. We've got 4, we're going up to probably 6 in the next 6 months. So it's to bring outpatient psychiatric services for adults, families, children, adolescents, closer to the community.
Anything else at this point? Do you have anything else? Okay. Do we have any comments from the engineer?
No.
Did you review it?
I did not.
Our code doesn't require review for this.
When was the building, let me ask the contractors, when was it actually finished or under the roof? I know it's been there.
Since 2019.
Okay.
Joe, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Anybody else from the board? Okay, no one else? Anybody online? Okay, I think we can go ahead and close the hearing then. You know, nothing further?
Going to place exhibits into evidence?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have up through D, right?
Yes.
A, B, C, and D.
Applications is A, publications B, plan submitted C, and the zoning is D.
We need to do that by motion, or can we just admit them?
I think it should be done by motion.
I make a
Okay.
motion that I just stated.
All right, we have a motion to admit the exhibits A through D. Second. Good.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That it? All right, so the hearing's closed. You want to discuss anything about the application? Or we are standing ready to entertain a motion if someone has one. What you just heard.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, okay. I thought
We didn't go to number 6 yet.
All we did was close the hearing. We have to make. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for the approval, move on to the supervisors, board of supervisors, the conditional use for the Washington Investments LLC will operate a medical clinic located at 2 Park Place in the C2 commercial zoning district. That's per the exhibits.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.
And one last go round. Is there anyone here for Snuffy Investments LP? for the applicant? No.
If you two want to say something,
If you want to.
you can go right ahead. We'll listen.
I could keep here for hours.
We don't have that long.
Do you have concerns of what they're waiting to
I'll give you
We're right at the intersection of Lake and Warrior, which I, okay,
Yes,
vague details, that's the ingress and egress point,
yeah.
and there's talk of a traffic circle that I don't wanna live in.
You mean there's roundabouts and
Yeah.
things like
Okay.
that? That's,
Yeah, right there.
I have that.
Orion,
where they intersect.
yeah, there's a roundabout there.
I
Yeah,
guess that should.
that's kind of what I'm getting from that. Exactly, you got it. Plus all the increased traffic, concerned about storm runoff, I mean, that's gonna create a whole lot of livable area up on top of there. Where's all that water gonna go? I don't know if this is a planning commission thing or not, but we already have issues with too much water dumping in what I consider the Quarry Road storm sewer,
The creek,
which used to be a creek about this wide, which is now
yeah.
Massive.
very high amount of erosion.
8 o'clock.
Who's ever come down there during heavy rain, sometimes it's up on the road with water.
Yes.
My former neighbor has pictures of his driveway completely underwater. His driveway just disappeared into the water. Where it flooded the road, my front yard, everything, you know, all that property all the way down to the corner. So we don't really need any more water dumping off of there. There's already water coming down off of that side of the hill. Like I said, I don't know if it's a planning commission that does anything about that, but I think something needs to be done to eliminate some of the water that is on the side of the quarry, the eastern side of Quarry Road. And the traffic concerns too, the length.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's amazing.
Somebody had made a comment at one of the previous hearings about addressing, residents need to address PennDOT or about.
That's a PennDOT road.
What are you gonna do? Widen the road, which then means
Condemnation.
taking land off
Condemnation
of other
proceedings on both
people.
sides. So we got that both sides.
It's, and I'm not against development. You know, I built my house on an empty lot, I didn't buy an existing home, so I mean, I'm okay with that, it's just that this is gonna be a huge disruption for my existence, so.
I don't know about the water, the traffic, I'm well aware of.
Yeah.
Water's pretty,
Traffic, water.
anytime it rains, that creek's been taking more and more and more flow.
Sounds like Niagara Falls when it's up.
Okay, well, something I didn't know.
Which goes under, it's where it goes under, right by the pump station,
Yeah.
under Lake.
That railroad trestle too.
I just-
The railroad-
People already have a hard time navigating that turn.
Yeah, that's been a problem for 100 years.
And you get logs floating down and they get redirected, they get placed on the street, on our driveway, they tear off the grass. And they just stop there because they don't keep continuing down the rest of the street. You've seen playsets go down there. Little plastic bench,
Oh,
those
yeah,
type of
toys.
playsets.
Oh, yeah.
Has come down and
Come
gone through our bridge and kept on going. And
There's only three properties down there, I get the benefit of being the last one to collect those. There's only 3 properties that actually deal with all that. Myself. And then it takes off behind all the other properties.
Right.
So, and I get stuff that from people's fire pits, you know, I can tell from burnt wood, and I said toys and then just debris coming from the wooded area.
Mm-hmm.
They don't carry this down.
Yeah.
then it
That's
stops.
at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, back to the subject, this planning thing, I think that especially this traffic circle thing is gonna severely devalue my property. If they're planning on putting something right there, because at one point I read something about a 3-point circle, which would mean Quarry Road and the entrance to it. And the only way to do that, because there was something about, I guess you guys had concerns about where it was gonna be located in reference to the trestle.
Right.
That means moving it further north,
Yeah.
and that puts it right in front of my property.
Here's the latest. I mean, there's no circle there. You can have. I guess they're proposing 2 entrances in and out of there.
Yeah, I think I see that.
Before there was 1 entrance into a circle. Now they got 2 entrances, one down near where that trestle is, and then another one up Quarry Road several hundred feet.
Yeah.
What are, I don't know, is this like a tourist like, elevation type thing?
Yeah.
Because here's my driveway.
Yeah, I mean, these are all, this is all
New proposed.
new proposed
Yeah.
contours, so this is a big cut.
Oh, so they're actually. yeah,
Here's
they
the
look like
problem,
everything.
here's the problem with that one, this black line is 1570. There's no way they're gonna do that. 1570 is at the top of that hill. I don't think Columbia Gas is gonna cut. We're gonna do, put a trap.
That's a transmission.
That's the 20-inch gas.
Yeah, we also had to deal with that.
I'm sorry.
They,
So I don't-
it was.
they're not even-
Actually, I acquired the property, that's going back, it was a car intersection. Like, another one, I used to own that property. And I never ran a gas. I don't know, if they're worried about it.
Right,
Or somewhere else. You're right. Yeah,
so this is, you're on this side of the gas line, this is you.
So I own the lot, there was
This is
You're on board?
Mhm.
Which one is it?
the last house on this side of the road, 400.
Right on the corner?
No, it's because there's nothing else on that side. So as you're coming towards your place, I'm the last one. It's a little, it's brick house, it's one line. It's just up the hill a little bit, but you can see it. So if you're coming down, Corey, towards you, it's the last house on the left, and then there's nothing on the left. But yeah, they're not even, I still don't think they understand that that's pretty important, because they don't get villages on these. So it all happens. They can't do this cut, that can't happen, because that's on the top of the hill. The 1570 goes on the top of the hill, they can't make that. They still have this. Yeah, they go under it.
Relocated, I mean, these guys will do anything.
I told them about that, too.
I was told I couldn't move dirt around in my front yard because I disturbed the bumps and bumps in the creek. I couldn't be within so many feet. of the
You
creek.
can, that's right, yeah.
So we
But,
can't raise that.
but they can come in here and do whatever they want.
They haven't got there, they haven't got that far yet.
Well, I'm just saying.
Right,
I-
but
I can't seem to get them to just take a look.
it's the whole kind of like
Thanks a lot.
I understand
I
they
know
can
it's
go
not
get
that big, but it's in it, but
It's
it's all-
still the fact that they did what I saw them doing in that creek, I would have been arrested.
Mitigate.
Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Is that they have perfect paperwork. Okay, and DEP and people are able to see that. As soon as they get a permit, then it's like, okay, well, we have this nice packet of paper. that shows exactly how to do it. We never go out and see what.
Here, it's hard to see in yours because
And they're
it's
not
small,
even
but
really.
it cuts right through here and around.
You
You can see it on mine, I highlight, I just do the marker.
Some.
because
I wonder how you know.
You can see it, you can see it perfect.
I see.
But they never go out and see what's a mess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same one across.
You got a temporary seed.
Yeah, you can't. They're really trying to make it.
Come up and bring the rest of the day. Well, I see it, I know, I see
I
it.
came down there once on a real.
Well, the guys have put a concrete bridge that's too low.
Yeah.
It was just
I
put in,
didn't want
it's
to bring
too
that.
low.
Well, the problem is they went over it. And
Just needed.
I said, that was my, and he put that in there 20,
Yeah.
30 years ago, you know, it's been there a long time.
Yeah.
Now it's a dam.
Now it goes,
And it
yeah,
goes
and
around,
now
and
it's,
it's right down through my property.
Mhm.
To- and we
You're
discussed
in a-
that with him,
yeah,
because,
yep,
yeah.
yes,
it's
you
my
are.
neighbor, I have to-
It was really bad this last time.
It was all in the creepy prior to.
Everything is focused right now, you know?
Water rooms.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
a
then
lot of the
it's-
development always all the way up there. It's
The
never really
DD
been
is
any
all over it, whatever happens.
That was
Creeks
pre-
and streams.
So all those houses,
Oh, they would-
they all are down into
Yeah.
it. So really,
All this kind of stuff, you can't-
to keep things so down. It's just the numbers. But it's like you guys deal with it. Yeah. I came down there once, and I was like, oh, shit, you know, and I mean, you know, the truck was under the gravel on the road.
That's right.
Really
I mean, because it's more
Really
on the
difficult.
hillside over here, they have the giant mountains down.
Yeah,
Which
sure.
brings you down.
Yeah.
I remember the past our driveway.
Yeah.
It's right at the edge of our property.
Mhm.
Plus, our house
Mhm.
is okay from the east side.
Piece of it.
They
Everything on there.
redirected all of those
Yeah, she-
into the creek.
I was
So
talking
it's separate.
and she talked to
Mhm.
us. Yeah. Saying that once they put all those new storm drains in, it ran across the road.
I'll put these exhibits together.
To replace the outlets that all taken.
That's an example.
Same thing. But the water was over there. And they're gonna develop this. What they have to do. Right.
Right down here, it's just-
They're not allowed to do so they're allowed to do certain things, which are allowed.
Yes.
And then it's like,
You
and then jog around and they have railroads.
We're ready.
You know,
Go for it.
make a motion.
And then just-
We have a motion to adjourn.
I don't know how.
All right, we're adjourned.